Hi Nadia, hi Liz.
Hi guys. Right, I'm here again. I'm just waiting for the feed to come up on here so that I can see if any comments come up.
I'm trying to get them from here. Hey Jackie. Hi Jackie.
So, nice to see you guys. Thank you for joining me. I always worry that no one's going to turn up and that I'm just going to sit on my own and waffling away. So hopefully, I still can't see any comments coming up. I can see them on my phone, but I can't see them on here. So let me just faff around here for a minute until I can try and get some comments going. Where are they? Last week they just sort of started showing up, didn't they? Let me try and have a look again. I've lost myself now. So today I'm going to show you this crazy owl. Look, see, there's the video. Where's the comments gone? No, now I'm talking to myself. Hang on. Let's turn the sound down. Now I think I've got some comments going. There we go. Right, I've got the comments. Huzzah! Hello, Tammy. Right, it's Tammy's fault that we're doing this. Hi, Isabella. Hey, Melinda. Okay, I've got you guys. I know, getting an echo, that's because I've got the sound on my laptop, but I've just shut it down now, so hopefully that should stop. And we're good, we've got the comments going. I don't know why the comments take a little while to get going, but I don't know what to do without them, so here we go. Because otherwise I do feel like I'm talking to myself. Right, my dear friend Tammy wanted to create this crazy thing. I wouldn't do a cake like that, look, it's completely mental. But Tammy's got a heart set on it and she's been bugging me since Christmas and I keep telling her how to do it and she keeps saying, yes boss, she's going to go away and do it, and then she comes back a month later crying that she's still not done it. So I thought I'd try and help. I've drawn on there, I don't know if you can see it, how the structure could go. Okay, so structure wise, yes, I know, crazy. These feet aren't supported anywhere. Can you see they're free floating? There's nothing touching the ground, so we can't anchor through the feet. The bit that's touching the ground, which is the only bit we can anchor from, is his tail running down here. That's it, that's all we've got. We can't put any anchoring anywhere else, so we have to put something here to support it. I spent a couple of nights trying to work this out because I've never done this cake, so everything's theoretical, but I'm pretty sure I've got it. I reckon there's several ways you could do it, and I decided that actually I was far too overcomplicating things all the time, and that actually it was easier than I thought. To begin with, I thought maybe put a piece of wood at an angle here and then a piece of wood at an angle here and try and create a join through there. But actually what I've decided is there's enough feathers in that tail. Hey Lauren! There's enough feathers in that tail that we can hide a rod here. And also our rods are much stronger. When you've got wood and you've got bends and joins and nails and things and screws, you've not got a strong base. So there's a rod here, and then we can come up at an angle board here. From the angle board, once we've got this board, we can then easily whack our wings on. The wings aren't the problem, the problem is down here. Then you also need something to help you structure this. So this is what I've come up with. Let me just back that up for a minute. I think this should be, Tammy's saying she thinks this should be our next class. If I ever get my classes back, it'll be a miracle. I'll be so happy when I get back to teaching. I'll teach you anything you want. So yeah, I'm desperate for them. I've rearranged classes all over the place and it's breaking my heart, but we'll all get through it, won't we? So that's the important thing. Whether you can convince me to teach this or not, I don't know. Hey Catherine, how are you doing? Who have I got there? Stephanie. Hello Stephanie. Awesome. Right guys, this is what I've created. Can you see that? Let me show it from this angle. Okay, so starting from the bottom again, you've got your 12mm MDF like normal. There's nothing in this that warrants anything wider than that, and you've got your little feet on the bottom. Okay, I've put him in the corner because our wings, by the time we come out, the wings are going to be over here somewhere, so you need quite a lot of space on the front of your board this time. And also I really like the idea of having a little mouse there. If I was going to do it, I'd put a mouse there because he's basically landing on to catch something, isn't he? So he needs a little mouse or something there. So that's why he's backed off into this corner. So in here you have a 10mm rod. Now if you watched last week's, you'll see about how I get boards on angles. So you've got your 10mm rod coming up here. Use my grinder for that. This week I'm getting a Dremel, so I might try having a go with a Dremel, but I'm getting quite used to a grinder. So grind off your 10mm rod to there. And then, can you see, I've got the plumber's pipe out again, and I've cut myself a really, really long angle here. So it's going to go that way. To put on top of my 10mm rod, and then that means I can support this board off at an angle. Okay, I looked at this earlier and I was wondering about making it even steeper. I could have gone up here with it, literally by changing the angle of this plumber's pipe. I could have done that. If I'd have done that, the risk of my cake sliding off the back is much, much higher, and I'm trying to do this with you guys in mind, so I don't want to make it so difficult that all your cake's going to slide off and you get all upset and you're never going to want to do this sort of game again. So I've kind of compromised a little bit. If you look at the original picture, I think his body's a little bit higher. It's about that, right? But I don't think we need it. As long as his feet are off the ground and you get that proper illusion that there's nothing holding this, I think you'll easily get away with that angle. And any cake will sit quite happily on that angle. You won't slide at all. You start coming up here, your risk of your cake sliding is quite high. If you're going to do it, at very least, put yourself in a couple of shelves. So what I mean by that is getting yourself a bit of wood or a bit of dowel or whatever, and just screwing in, properly screwing in, a piece here and a piece there. So although it's at that angle, it's got steps. And then you're going to get your cake in on the steps so that you're not going to run the risk of the whole thing sliding, because it's got steps all the way through. But at this angle, I reckon we should be able to get away with it. This is 12mm MDF, and I just did this shape with it. Hopefully you can see that. So will the back of the board and the rods show after the hour is on? No, Stephanie. So what we do, so hang on a second. So that's your shape. That shape there is basically the underneath of his body. It's just the underneath, okay? You're going to build your cake in on top of it. Okay? You're going to be, hey Karen, you're going to be, hey Deb, gosh, got everyone here tonight. You're going to be building your cake, so your board is only a cross section of the underneath of the owl. He's the very lowest part of him. This is his chin. Okay, so your actual cake is going to get quite a bit bigger than this, quite a bit wider. Remember I said about making sure your board is the smallest part. If you make your board too big, then you've got nowhere to round your owl under. You'll end up with like a flat owl, and then it'll end flat, and you'll end up with flat sides, and it'll get all a bit square, and you'll make it a square owl. So this is the smallest part of your cake. Okay, so that's where your cake's going to be. Now remember, your cake's going to come up to about there. His face is up here, coming through to his body here. This is just the underneath bit. Okay, now then, where we hide this lot is in the tail feathers. If you look at the picture again, your tail feathers come right the way underneath here. So you put some tail feathers in front of that pole, and then you put the majority of the tail feathers behind the pole, sweeping in underneath. You're going to lose this hole completely. You won't see it at all. It'll all be in your feathers. So you're doing all your wafer paper feathers in here, creating that section under there. Some of them in front of the pole, some of them behind the pole. You'll lose it completely. And the thing about wafer paper is it's so thin and it's so light. It will look absolutely beautiful. It will look proper illusion, like you won't be able to tell there's anything holding that at all. So you would lose your feathers coming in here and coming in here and then coming in the front there, so you wouldn't be able to see them. Okay, now if you can see under here, I've got 2 screws just shot in through the wood. You need something to be able to hold your legs on. So although they're not going to be supported, they're not going to hit the ground, they mustn't hit the ground. As soon as they hit the ground, people will assume that you've rodded through them, and that's just a waste of an illusion. So make sure these stay off the ground, whatever you do, because otherwise you just wasted the whole point about rodding it through the tail. I just use 2 screws to give myself something to latch onto, and then I'm going to either use tinfoil or I'm going to use armature wire, florist wire if I haven't got anything like that to create your legs off there. But if I've got the screws in, then I know I'm not going to spend all this time sculpting something and then the legs keep dropping off, because they've got something to be able to hold on to there and there. So that's quite a nice way of doing that. I do that a lot with elephants' trunks and things like that. I never try and just get things to support on their own, because then they just fall off all the time. So I'm sticking screws through a lot of stuff, and then I'll hook the legs on like that. So that's your body shape. And then coming off your body shape, I think I've got the camera a bit too high this time because I don't normally have to lift it out, do I? When you come off the body shape, you're then up to your wings. The wings, I've kept a 6mm rods just because I can bend them really easily. If I was doing 8mm or 10mm, the weight of it, you've got to remember you've got the whole cake suspended off this bottom rod here, this bottom point. So you need to watch your weight. So if you're putting too much weight on the front, then you're just asking for trouble on this back. Even with a 10mm, you don't want to risk it. So I've got 6mm, because really they don't have to support that much weight. You're just using them to get the shape. You can see there. Now, be mindful, although your brain is telling you this is your owl is above that. So your owl is going to come up to here minimum. Okay, think of his nice round face here, and then his body shape's going to come around like that. So the reason why you've got these long bits here before the wings start is they're going to be completely eaten up by your cake. Okay, if you start your bending, hey Sylvia, if you start your bending from here, by the time you put your cake in, your wings are going to be too low. So you've got to give yourself the extensions to get past the top of your cake before your wings start going off. That's why you've got two pieces here. This is your bottom of your head. Remember, his head's going to come off it quite a bit though. So this is where his shoulder blades would be. So your wings want to come up where your shoulder blades are. So you've got your gap here, and then you can start bending. Obviously all of this needs to be food safe, so you're into your tin foil, you're into your bubble tea straws, all of that kind of thing, to make it nice and food safe. This will support as much modelling chocolate if you want to use it, or modelling paste as you want. So you're going to start building your wings up either in modelling chocolate or in modelling paste, and then as you get lower and lower, then you're going to start adding your feathers. Personally, I'd go wafer paper. I have seen people do it in pastelage and things like that, but the amount of weight you're pulling on this all the time, remember, you're supporting the entire thing off this one single rod at the back. You start piling kilograms and kilograms of weight on that, you know, you run the risk of this starting to drop. And it won't take too much drop before your feet touch the floor, and then again you wasted your illusion completely. So use something light, a light material, a little bit of modelling chocolate just to build it up, and then the wafer wings, something like that. Let me just see if there's any questions. Sylvia, what am I making? I'm making, nope, let's get it right, there. So we're making a snowy owl that's just about to land. Hi Karen, hi Sally, look, I can see you starting to watch. Hi from London, hi Marla. I'm just outside London, not too far away. So this is what we're doing. So we've given a secret support through the base that we're going to lose through his tail feathers. We've given enough support for the cake on his body, giving him up to his head, and then we're giving enough support to be able to rod his wings up. And enough space on the front of the board to be able to like bring this out. By the time you've got the wings out here, you're going to need that space on the front. So be careful about where you're putting your rods. You might think I'm going to whack it in the middle, but then your cake's going to be heading off the front somewhere, and you're going to have this gap behind. So watch where you're placing your cake. So let's have a look. So, hi from the Philippines. Wow, what time is it in the Philippines? I'm not sure what times I'm doing these in terms of other people, so it'd be interesting to see. Sylvia, obviously missed the beginning. What's the wing support? So the wing support, they're just 6mm rods. I use 6mm because I can bend them by hand. I don't need anything fancy or anything. So 6mm rods, and then obviously your 6mm nuts and your 6mm washers. Please make sure you use washers, otherwise your nuts just eat into the MDF wood and things start spinning around. They might feel like they're secure now, but as soon as you've got the MDF, as soon as you've got the modelling chocolate weight on them, they start spinning around. So make sure you use your washers to stop it eating into the wood, and make sure every single nut is tied off with a wrench. Even if you think it's rock solid with your hand, as soon as you get weight on, they'll start moving around. So get your wrenches in and properly tie everything off. Make sure it's absolutely solid to start with. So let me just see if there's any other questions. Early morning in New Zealand. Do I have to call you Swazzle Swazzle? One day you're going to tell me your name, and then I won't think that's your actual name. But hi from early morning in New Zealand. Yeah. Oh, that's really early morning in New Zealand, isn't it? It's like 4 o'clock or something. So thank you very much for hanging out with me. Right. So we're good there. What does that one say? Roughly how long are the rods for the wings? I don't know. Bigger than the owl. Look. Look how small our owl is. Like his body is only like what, that? And then look, bring that into his wings. So look at your proportions. So your body is that only takes up half your wing. So your wing is roughly what, 2 spans your body? So it doesn't really matter. If I could tell you a measurement on the wings, but then your body would have to be the same size as mine. You can scale this or scale up down depending on how big you need to serve it. This is not going to serve that many people. That's what, 9 inches, maybe 10 inches at best, but then it's only going to be about 4 wide. So it's a very small cake. If you wanted to scale it up, then you'd have to scale your wings. So instead of me telling you sizes, I keep telling you sideways, instead of me telling you sizes, look at your proportions. If your body's that long, your wings are going to be twice as long. So if my body is this long, my wings are going to be twice as long. Yeah? Instead of me sort of measuring things, because 1, I don't know, I just do it by eye, and 2, it won't really have any relevance unless you do the same thing. So you might want to make them bigger or smaller, but try and get the proportions right. And then, okay, it's only, come on Tammy, I need the second half. It's only for us at home. I don't know, hang on. I did have, if you give me 2 minutes. Da-da. Alright, Tammy. So, Tammy, are we working old school? Are we going in inches? Look at that, not bad. So it's the board is 10 inches length. Width is 4.5. So 1 10-inch cake would do it, because you're only going to need it, what, 2 layers deep? And then I don't know how to measure this. Wait a minute. Sound effects included. Oh lordy. I've got 22 inches for the wings. Do you want me to work in modern money as well? For anyone who's not English cake maker. So European, 26 on your body length, 12 on your body width. This is centimetres. I can do it. And 56 roughly on your wings. And one 10-inch cake would do that. 1 10-inch cake, 2 layers would get in there nicely. But you can scale it up quite easily. So if you wanted to do it for a bigger party, definitely if you're going to sell this, you need to make it bigger, because you have to have the servings in order to get the money for it. Otherwise, there's no point putting all this work in for a cake that's going to serve 15 people and then tell them it's going to be like £1,000 or whatever. So scale it up if you're doing it, or just have it as a fancy family cake. So I think that's the structure. If anyone's got any questions? If not, let's just have a look. Brenda, hi. Sorry, I missed the beginning. How do you secure the pole at the back at an angle? Okay, so the pole at the back, so your 10mm rods, and then you're going to use plumber's pipe, which is this stuff, and you're going to cut it at an angle, and then you use that. I don't know if you can see. Can you see it? Cut it at an angle underneath, and it's keeping your board up at an angle. And as I said earlier, you can go up at a higher angle if you want them to really be kind of raised up. I took a compromise because I know cake will sit quite happily on that, whereas if I get too much higher, then the risk of my cake sliding is much higher. If you are going to do it, then put little steps in wood, one there and one there, just to act as a barrier so that your cake doesn't slide down. But I think that's a nice compromise. I think it will work beautifully without having to worry too much about your cake sliding down. Hopefully that answers that one. Hi Sharon. Okay, so I think that's our structure. Now what I wanted to show you, sorry Liz, see you later. So Audrey, what I'm going to use for the wings, well, to start with, I would either use modelling chocolate, which is my new favourite game because it sets rock solid, or modelling paste. You need to kind of build up the structure a little bit. and then you can start building up. But to finish, once you've got on with all of that, I use wafer paper. I don't know, have all of you used wafer paper? Is anyone new to it? Let me show you it quickly. So this is wafer paper. It comes in packs like that, I buy it on Amazon. Okay? And it just looks like normal paper. It's got one side is smooth and one side's like patterned. So always use your smooth side. Wafer paper is amazing, amazing material. If you haven't gotten into playing with it, you can make some really beautiful flowers. And what I like about the flowers is that you can't break them. You can throw them around on the floor and they don't break. Whereas obviously the sugar versions that we do, they're so fragile. I'm just going to move that so I'm not going to rod in my face. So that's your wafer paper, and then all you're going to do is cut out. If I show you something I printed. There's your wing feathers for your snowy owl. So they've got these really beautiful markings on. So all I did was cut out a feather shape. Now they're really light, they're really, really translucent. Okay, so that, because you're going to need a lot of those. If you look at the picture, there's so many feathers on. You've got smaller feathers and then bigger feathers and then bigger feathers. You cannot, if you try and do that in icing, the weight is going to get so much and they're going to start drooping and snapping and all sorts. So wafer paper looks beautiful. It's completely edible if you're nuts enough to eat it. Therefore food safe, and it looks beautiful. And if you can see, all I've done is get a pair of scissors and just start cutting in all the way down as fine as you can get it into that. And then what I quite like doing is, can you see, is every so often is to cut sideways so you get a little like damaged bit. And again, if you look at the bottom, you can cut them this way. So make the bottoms a bit more detailed down there. And then you've got these absolutely beautiful feathers. Now the thing about wafer paper is that it reacts to water. It really reacts to water. It's kind of a love-hate thing. So a little bit of water on the edges will make them curl beautifully. But if you put too much water, within a couple of seconds it turns to absolute mush. It also sticks to itself. So if you get one bit of water on wafer paper and another bit of wafer paper, they'll stick together and then you'll never ever be able to get them apart. They're totally stuck like that. So useful, but then it's actually quite hard to stick to icing. So it's interesting stuff. But the biggest thing about it is, if it reacts to water and you try and paint it, you'll end up with it all curling up. So something I've discovered a while ago, I'll show you, is because cocoa butter is oil based and not water based, you can paint this stuff all day long with cocoa butter and it won't affect the wafer paper at all. It won't bend, it won't melt, it won't do anything. So if you've come across cocoa butter, you ate 10 sheets. Okay, Karen over here likes wafer paper and eats it. But yeah, there's always an odd one, isn't there? And Karen's it apparently. How can you eat wafer paper? Crikey. Alright. So, cocoa butter. This is cocoa butter. This is food grade cocoa butter that I don't buy from cake shops. Actually, because I couldn't find any from cake shops. So again, I found this online and it's food grade cocoa butter and you get a whole pot of it. Love it. Then you need a heat source. So cocoa butter is basically oil based. A bit like oil paint, it's the same. It carries the pigment really beautifully. So what you need, hopefully, I'm a bit worried that I've got this so high, is a tea light. That's what I'm going to set fire to. Whee. And then you need something to keep your metal plate away from the fire. I have got a roll of armature wire, which I'm going to put there. And then your metal plate sits on top. All you do is you put a little bit of cocoa butter on your metal plate and you put it on your tea light. And then what I'll show you straight away, if you can see that, is that your cocoa butter melts straight away. And then this is just black dust. So So any of your petal dust or whatever, sit on top of that like that. Now, the good thing about this stuff is because it's not water-based, you can paint that straight onto here in the deepest, darkest colours that you want all day long, and it will not affect your wafer paper in the slightest. Now, if you did that with water or with gel or with anything, your wafer paper would start disintegrating, and it would start melting, and it would start bending, and it would generally be a complete pain in the arse and do what you don't want it to do. But by using cocoa butter, because this is oil based, it just sits on top of the wafer paper. So if ever you need to get wafer paper going really, really dark, paint it with cocoa butter rather than water or airbrush or anything, and it just sits on the top like that. Look at that. How cool does that look? You can paint the other side. If you can see it. So that's your wafer paper feather. That is light as anything, translucent and anything, absolutely beautiful. And then that will sit, when you get to it, sort of coming out like that. But you need a million of them. So that's how I do his feathers. So wafer paper is magnificent stuff, and when you start figuring out you can use oil paints, edible oil paint with cocoa butter, then it really opens up a whole new world for you. So all your wafer paper then becomes actually like properly stuff you can work with, rather than it being terrified of water and melting everywhere, or letting Karen eat it. Alright, so there's your feathers. I'm just going to take this off a second before I burn myself. The other one thing amazing about cocoa butter is that as soon as it cools down, it sets solid. So you don't have to worry about it rubbing off. You don't have to worry about it, like if you paint black tyres or anything, you don't have to worry about people eating it and getting black mouths or anything, because it's set solid straight away. So you've got no worries about this drying or being sticky or anything, because as soon as it comes off the heat and as soon as it returns back to room temperature, it sets as a solid. So absolutely brilliant stuff, definitely worth using. Let's just turn that off. Okay, so there we go. Just get that away. You have a structure, secret support through the back. You've got screws here to help you get your feet on. You've got 6mm rods threaded into where his shoulder blades would be, because you think that a bird's wings are our arms, so they rod them through the shoulder blades. You've got just enough here to start his head off. Okay, that's just where his chin is. So his head is going to come out a bit. We've got enough support so that the head's not going to fall off, but we don't need to support the whole head because you've got your ganache and stuff in your body. And then with your wings, you're making sure that you give enough up stick first before you start bending the wings, so that you've got enough capacity for his body in. Alright, there we go. Tammy, do you think you can do it now, is my question. Hi Zoe. Let me know if you think you can do it. If anyone's got any other questions or how they think this might work, just let me know now please, and I'll answer them. If not, if you think of any other questions afterwards, I can come back a bit later on and have a look and see what questions there are. Let me just see if there's any more questions. No? Okay, alright, cool. Well, I'm going to wish you a happy Sunday, and have a good week. Hopefully do something creative, if nothing else, and we'll see what next week holds about what we're going to do, or yeah, what the next thing. If you want anything specific, then drop me a little message or put a little comment on or something like that, or tell me or show me what it is you're wanting to learn, and anything I can help with I will do. Hi Joe. I'm going now, so a bit late, but you can watch and catch up. So if you're watching this on replay, let me know. And yeah, if you want any help, or you want any structure advice, or you think I can figure something out, then and I can help you with it, then let me know. All right, take care, guys. Speak to you later. Bye.